Welcome to 99% Pickleball, a podcast by Empower Pickleball. We're your co-hosts, Nikki Maldonado
and Mari Humberg. And Nikki, last episode of the season.
Whew. What a season, Mari. Season 1 is in the books at the end of this episode. This is episode 12. We talked about this last episode. Episode 12. We can count here.
Numbers are hard.
What a wild ride it's been. What do you... Yeah.
It really has. Yeah, absolute wild ride, Nikki. Obviously, we've gotten to know each other super well throughout the season. We had some awesome guests. Want to shout a few out?
Yeah, I mean, I've been stoked because we started off with a heavy hitter with Sarah Ainsbury. We started off with Zane and Nico. We had competing podcasts on our podcast, although, I think we've done them a solid. I think their views have actually gone up since our episode. So you're welcome,
Absolutely.
Boys. We had Lee Waters, one of the absolute just most influential and impactful people in the entire sport. And then another one, Kyle Kazuta, also known as that pickleball guy. I mean, the level of not just the guests and so many more, every single conversation that we had was so insightful, learning about different aspects of the sport. I could rattle off every guest that we had because every single one was different and gave us, really dug into a full, well-rounded perspective of the sport, which is what I think we were seeking out to do. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was awesome to not just focus on the pro pickleball side, which is one of my pet peeves, but also understand the community side and everything that's happening kind of beyond the lines, which has been our whole motto this season, which is basically what does pickleball mean to people inside the pickleball court, inside of their business, their family, their way of life, really. So it was really, really cool to get so many different perspectives.
Yeah, you're going to get from other media companies and podcasts and all of that, you're going to get a play-by-play of what happened over the weekend in a PPA or MLP. You're not going to get that here. We really did. I feel proud. We really did dig beyond the lines, Mari, which is what we try to do. So lots more coming. This is, we're not done yet. This is the final episode. We have an amazing episode lined up today for this final episode. We saved a big one for last. So we'll get into that. But speaking of beyond the lines, Mari, you had something crazy just happen to you. So our first Beyond the Lines is all about the PPA Challenger. Anybody know about the PPA Challenger? I know the PPA, I know the MLP, but what the heck is the Challenger?
Yeah.
And what happened there?
Hey, this is a first for me. I'll start with highlighting what happened. I got my first ever singles pro medal. Okay. And not just pro medal, but actually gold. I have a bronze from 2024, but I did get gold in singles. But I'm going to talk about the experience because a couple of special things happened there for me. So PPA Challengers are essentially a feed-in tour, if you want to call it, for the main PPA events. So these events actually count as points for the main PPA events too. It's all together. So this is a great tour for people that are looking to break into the scene and to get a ton of reps, because not only are these events one-day events, so I played the entire singles draw in one day. So instead of having to take off of work, if you're someone that's working and looking to break into the scene, it was all on Friday. So you wouldn't have had to be there on Monday.
That's cool.
You can just get there, Thursday evening and play on Friday for singles. Saturday was gender doubles. Sunday was mixed doubles. So all in one day. It does count as points for the main tour. And you see a lot of the youngins playing, or people that have recently signed, or people that are unsigned and looking to get a contract. So very, very cool. This was only my second ever challenger event because there are rules and regulations. If you're top 20 in a category, you're not supposed to be playing the challengers, which I am way outside the top 20 for singles. A spoiler alert for anyone that wanted to know. But I did play women's
21,
doubles as well.
22.
I think it's like in the 40s. But whatever. Thank you, Nikki, for your kind words there.
Who's counting?
For women's doubles, I partnered up with a little legend, Kelly Goodnow. Kelly is super young, in her teens. I think she's 14 years old. And Kelly is a stud. Not only super hardworking, kind, and someone that's already really, really good. She's extremely talented. It's just a pleasure to share the court with her. The joy that she brought to me on court and getting to battle with her all day long. We ended up with silver. We lost a super tight match in the final, but had some great wins, great battles. And if you got to watch any of that, you'll just see the smile on my face and getting to help the next generation kind of find their groove into the sport and get to mentor someone like that is just really special to me. So I had a really fun weekend in Seattle, Nikki. And now we just picked up the car. Max and I drove to Vancouver last night. So we're going to do a little Canada trip, just explore over here. We've never been. I crossed the border by car for the first time last night. Never done that. Have you?
Canada. Have I gone by car? No, I've crossed into Canada. I used to work in Canada for a very long time.
What?
I've been to Canada many a time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. A little company called Canada Goose. It's a jacket, a parka company.
Very
It
cool.
really shields you from the cold. Sponsor us,
Yeah.
Canada Goose. No, so I love Canada. You need to keep driving north to like further into British Columbia, go to Banff. Like that is by far
Yeah.
the
The
most,
problem is
in
the
my opinion,
fires.
the most beautiful
So
place on earth.
that's what everyone says.
Okay.
So we're
All
trying to
right.
keep an eye on what's happening. But anyways, it's been an incredible week
Fair. Yeah.
after the MLP loss and just getting to play a tournament and now getting to relax for a few days before I get
Yeah.
fully back into the swing of things to prep for PPA North Carolina, which is our first one of the schedule. So that was my week, Nikki.
Ooh. I got to take a North Carolina trip coming up soon. Mari, I
Mm-hmm.
want to know, do you think that your dream breaker experience in MLP had anything to do with how well you played in singles?
That's a great question. Well, I can play a lot more free when it's obviously more points because if you make a couple of mistakes, it doesn't really come back to bite you like it does in a dream breaker. So yeah, I think my mentality for singles is it's just been a lot more relaxed over the past few years. It's not my priority. The doubles events are my priority. So I was swinging freely. I play my best in singles when I play aggressive, when I try to come up to the line and make them pass me, or I think I have pretty decent net coverage. So yeah, I think also shout out to Elise Jones. Her daughter Leah was playing the tournament and she was there and she came and hung out with me in all the matches. And I mean, we know each other so well. We're such good friends off the court that she just yells at me in a way that I was like, you're right. You know, what am I doing? I can't stay back and pass people from here. Make them beat you. And she was just in my head all day. I told her I owe her more than 50% of this medal. So shout out to my girl, Elise.
Yeah, break that medal in half and give some to Elise.
I know. I need to do that.
That's a really cool perspective. I think that's really great for folks to learn about, well, two things. One that stood out to me about that was the challenger, the formatting of it. And I love how you frame that, you know, even if you have a job, your full-time job, and you're still trying to do something in this world, then, you know, use that, you know, use the scheduling to your advantage. I think that's awesome. I also think that what you just said, I think maybe is the most important thing is using those opportunities that feel they're not necessarily lighter because they still get you points, but at the same time, you kind of approached it in a lighter way. You felt loose, you know, which I think is maybe the way you play pickleball better than any, right? You have to like stay like mentally just relaxed as much as possible, calm, I should say. And so, yeah, that's a really great, in my opinion, really great takeaway. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
absolutely. Great experience at the PPA Challengers. And one last thing to add there that I think I forgot to mention. There are amateur events happening at the same time as the pro events and challengers. So if you see a challenger near you, if you're an amateur player and not quite at the pro level yet, sign up for those as well. They're very well run events. The facility that we played at was beautiful in Seattle, Side Out Tsunami. Shout out to them. But basically just any of these facilities are great. So I just want to point out that this is an amateur and pro event as well, and that everyone can be included there. So very fun. Nikki, enough of me. You, for some reason, still have a collection behind you, but you keep adding more paddles. What count are we at now? And do we have any paddle updates for us?
Yeah. So for the end of the season, I wish I had started with, I think I did start with the count. I was at 50 at the beginning of the season, and I think I'm at 60 now. So it is at least 60. I might be over 60 now, actually. It's funny because I just got one today. So this is the life of a paddle reviewer is you just get these packages in the mail and you don't even know what they are. So I just got this today. I got home from playing pickleball and guess what? This was waiting for me, which in my opinion, let me just say it's pretty hurtful. It's really kind of hurtful that this mailman would bring this after I play pickleball. Like, come on, dude, show up before, you know, I'm already home. What am I doing? Now I have, how inconsiderate, Mr. Mailman. Now I have no choice but to hit the silent ball against the wall. And my, you know, neighbors will still hear that. But anyways, all right. So we're going to do an unveiling today together. So you're getting to see I think this is actually technically number 62. So let's see what it is because I have no idea what this is. And this, it's like Christmas. Like
you have like a daily Christmas over there.
This is pretty much, Michelle hates it. This is a new Pickle Poppers. This is the Pop and Treasure. right here. So thank you so much, Pickle Poppers, for this. I'm going to have to do a review on this very soon. But this one is making waves for sure. Paige is going to like that. That's nice and loud on the microphone. This one's making waves for sure because it's got a new, it's a new face, a new gritty face. But listen to this. Can you hear this?
I can hear that.
Mari, can you
Wow.
hear how gritty that is? That's some paddle ASMR for you right there. It is. I actually already have some Pickle Poppers paddles, but this is way, way grittier. So you just got to see a little bit of sneak peek into the life of a paddle reviewer where things just show up at your door. But what's really interesting, Mari, that I wanted to share was that I've been playing, I've been playing a lot. I've been trying to just play and not shoot content and just go and just enjoy being with my friends. And I'm finding that I'm having more casual conversations with random people at my facility. And one of the things that I'm noticing is people are starting to come up to me and they're seeing that I always show up with like 10 paddles and they're like, what's the deal with her? Why does she have so many paddles all of the time? Why does she have 2 bags with her all the time? And they're saying, so now people are coming over and asking me questions. And I've had so many people come over and know. Well, let me ask you, just on a percentage, Mari, what percentage do you think people, just random average Joes, know about pickleball paddles? Like, do you think that they're expert paddle reviewers 100%? Do you think that they're like 50%? Like they know, they think that they're like 10%, like they barely know the names? What do you think?
I think it's a very small percentage of people that know a lot about paddles. I think it's a little bit of a bigger percentage that knows a little, right? They know about a couple of the bigger brands, or they have someone that they follow, whether it's you, Nico, one of the other paddle reviewers that they're kind of like, oh, whatever they say, I'll buy. Or there's just a pretty wide variety of knowledge for sure in the rec space. So that's probably what you're encountering.
Yeah, I would say I'm not even kidding, at least here in New York City. And also when I travel, I talk to people about these things, but especially like lately here in New York City. And this is men, women, everybody, right? So it's not just, I think men typically know a little bit more, but the number of information, I say the population that generally knows, or like what they typically know about paddles is, I'd say maybe 20% at best. They know the paddle company name. They know maybe the paddle that they have, maybe. And maybe they've heard of 1 or 2 other brands. And that's
sometimes
it.
they know
so
about
they don't know the shape.
That's the second thing, that if they do know something else, they might know it's like a wide body, elongated, or hybrid. There's a lot of naming conventions. Right. It's hard to keep up with.
Oh my gosh. And I just did a review on 11/6/24 and I love this brand so much. They have so much character. They make this extra hard because not only do they have obviously wide body, elongated, hybrid, but they call them their own unique names. The Hirachi X for elongated, the Pegasus for wide body, the Vapor for hybrid. So I call it Starbucks, tough. like tall, grande, venti, right? That's what it is of paddles. The Starbucks of paddles. They're not the Starbucks, don't worry. But anyways, so yeah, I just found this. I've been finding this so interesting. So I'm curious, from our audience, how much do you know about paddles? Do you know at least either I actually think the least important thing to know is the makeup of them. You've heard me say that before, but I think maybe like some specs like swing weight, like twist weight, knowing like how to put tape or like where to actually weight your paddles. Do you put tape on your paddles?
I don't weigh my paddle at all. Straight out the box.
Wow. Straight out the box. I love a paddle straight out the box. So,
Nikki.
Yeah, I find it so curious. That means that the paddle company was talented. I think
the paddle company is so good.
But
the Adidas paddle is unreal.
So good.
I don't need to put any weight on it. I love it.
Made it for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like for me for golf, I had to have my golf clubs cut for my height and they were like, they were like customized for me. So I look at that, like, right, when you really care, you want to get things customized. And how nice is it to pay, $5-10 to get some tape and just to actually get some some weighted tape, some lead tape, and just put it on around the paddle. And then boom, you have almost an entirely new paddle. Just like, so all I want to say is, folks, I want to know how much you know about paddles. I really want to get the word out there. I find that it's really, really helpful, even just a tiny bit of knowledge, like shape, or just like, why are you hitting a certain way? Why does it feel a certain way? What might be beneficial? Grit. People don't know anything about grit. So there's a lot of stuff that people could learn. I do have a new paddle review series, and I'm not going to answer all those questions for you in my review series because I'm not the ultimate paddle expert like some of them, but I'm going to share a lot of information on there. But the last thing really quickly, Mari, that I wanted to also share about paddles is sometimes the paddle is more than the performance itself. I love brand storytelling. I am a sucker for brand storytelling. And one of my absolute favorite brands out in the market is Aereo. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows me, knows how much I love Aereo. And Aereo actually just released this new cyclone, and it's elongated if anyone's curious. But this is a new cyclone. Are you familiar with kintsugi? at all, Mari?
Because of you, I am, Nikki, but please enlighten our audience like you enlightened me.
Yeah, absolutely. So kintsugi is like kind of the art of repairing broken pottery in Japan. And the idea is that something can still be beautiful. You can repair that beauty even when it's broken. And so Aereo actually partnered with one of their ambassadors. So not even a pro or anybody, one of their ambassadors, Valerie Cook. You can actually see her initials right down here at the bottom. If you're watching, this is a reason to watch. There's also a little paw print. I got to figure out what that paw print is for. I'm assuming that's not Valerie's paw print. So they have the Kintsugi Cyclone here. And what's really cool, just so unique about this, is that Valerie is actually a 2-time cancer survivor. And so she likens the idea of Kintsugi to, and like repair, to what she's gone through. And she even talks about how pickleball has helped repair her and bring her back to this amazing state. And so Aereo loved this story so much about her own journey of really just this, finding this beauty in life again after such a really tumultuous and difficult time. And this idea of kintsugi is amazing. So the fact that, yes, Aereo Cyclone, this paddle is fire. This paddle is amazing. It is so good. It is so powerful. It's still controlled. It's lovely. But the story of this, to me, makes this even better. And it's only $179, which is nice. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Mari?
Looks pretty cool. I do love the paddle that I play with, but I love the story behind that. I'm still allowed to to love that. So that's pretty cool. I do also really like what you're doing. If anyone that's listening to this is enjoying the podcast and you haven't checked out Nikki and I's channels outside of the podcast, both of us have an Instagram page. Mine is mariahumberg.pb. Nikki's is Pickleball Nikki?
Pickleball Nikki.
That's your
it's
name.
super easy.
Like,
Pickleball Nikki. Yeah.
And we both have YouTube channels as well. Very different YouTube channels. So it's pretty cool that we're kind of helping each other out in that sense, right? I'm doing a lot of instructional videos. Nikki's doing reviews and a lot more lifestyle content. So check those out if you haven't already. There's lots of good stuff out there. And Nikki, thanks for sharing your process there as a paddle reviewer, because that's something that I've never done, right? I'm with the brand. I love the paddle that I work with. I love the clothes. I love everything. I'm wearing my Adidas stuff here. And it's very different. It's not better one way or another. It's just completely different style. So it's pretty cool to get to hear from the other side.
2 different types of education, we'll call it. You educate on the court. I educate in your gear bag. So yeah.
Preparation for the court.
Preparation for the court. Yeah. And how to perform better on the court, because not everyone can play straight out of the box like you, Mari. Maybe someday. But Mari, yeah, I don't know. So speaking of like performance and how you play better, I think this brings us to our third Beyond the Lines, which is DUPR ratings, which are, I think, particularly relevant today. But people still continue to get a little crazy about their DUPR ratings. And I think that, I don't know, just like, what's your takeaway? What's your thoughts?
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on how people act about ratings?
I think ratings and grades are actually very similar, Nikki. Anytime that we were in school and we were graded on things, right? So you take a math test and you get an 87 out of 100. And you're looking at that saying like, wow, I don't know, depends on people's standards, right? But for me, I was never happy with anything less than an A. So I'd be like, wow, I really need to improve on this. I need to see the parts that I missed so I can study that more so I can get better at that. And this is kind of the way that I see ratings too. You are being graded in a way, and anything that has a number associated to it does make people more nervous, more antsy. And I think it's tough, especially, and I gave math as an example. Math is a very matter of fact thing, right? Usually it's going to be a number answer and it's right or wrong. But if it was an essay and I think I wrote a great essay and my professor doesn't think the essay was as good as I thought it was, I could get a B and I can't really argue it, right? Nikki, your drip could be a 5.0 level in your mind, because I know it is, okay? And in my mind, or on the world's mind, it's a 3.5 drip level, I'm just going to use that example here. So it's tough because whether you want to agree with it or not, it is something that's being handed to you. And it's something that you can't change really easily. And it's something that stays with you a lot of times. So let's start with the backstory here. DUPR was started in 21. I started playing pickleball at the end of 22. So I was given a DUPR kind of early on. I am someone that doesn't really get affected by that in sports, because I understand that, for example, I improved so much in my first 6 months playing that my DUPR was never accurate for the first 6 months. And that's not on them. That's just like my improvement was so fast that if I played 1 week and those ratings were in there and I didn't play a tournament for 2 weeks, it would be completely different the next time I played. So it was kind of a rapid improvement. So I wasn't bothered by it. I still am not, because this is my living. This is something that my rating doesn't affect technically my wins or losses. Obviously, it goes up and down based on it. But if I have a higher DUPR rating, that doesn't mean I have a higher PPA ranking. So it doesn't really correlate for me. But for other people, I think it's something that it messes with them, Nikki. It messes with them. What do you think?
I think to say the least, I think they really get, I always say they treat themselves differently and they treat others differently because of this. Mari, I'm curious, do you get students asking you to rate them a lot?
I do. And it's something that's extremely hard for me to do, Nikki. And I always tell my students to ask me because I started at a higher level. So it's really hard for me to be able to define it. And not only that, I think, for example, I'm totally joking about your drip here because we know that that's a hot topic for the two of us, right? But Nikki, there were very, very good parts of your game. For example, I think your hands are really good. I think your hands are higher than your actual level. Okay. So let's say you have 4 or 5 hands. Okay. But let's say that your transition is 3-7. I don't know. I'm just kind of giving you approximations here, right?
Yeah.
That's a 0.8 difference between what I said about your hands and your transition.
Yep.
But you don't get to use your hands until you make it to the kitchen. So ratings are so hard to define, and I don't ever want to try to put people in a box. I try to talk to them about what they can be doing better, what they're really good at, rather than saying, this is your rating. But then they're asking me what tournament should they sign up for, and I have a really hard time defining it. So I always try to ask what level they're playing with, how they're competing against those people, so I can help them make that decision. But I rarely ever say, hey, this is your rating. I think if there are any students that want to call me out here, but it's really, really rare that I actually say, Nikki, you are a 5.0. Though I would love to be saying those words, Nikki.
To close the season out, she said it, everybody. I made it to 5.0. You heard it here. We're recording. We got all that. Everybody heard that here. I knew it. Yeah. So no, I totally agree with you. It's interesting. I mean, I still think regionally DUPR is so different. And I think that's a hot topic. I think some people debate that, but I think it's you even said it before, right? Louisville, Kentucky is very different than South Florida. So,
Absolutely.
I think that there's that. I really like the direction that they're heading in with the AI skills assessment because there's different factors you're talking about like skill, like the actual on-court skill, which I think the AI assessment is very capable of doing, which games actually are not capable of doing. Scoring is not capable of doing. So because a game ended 11-7, right? Even let's say 11-3, it's not representative of your skill necessarily. That game could have been 25 minutes long.
Right.
And every single time, and then maybe a couple of yips and missed a couple serves or something. Who knows, right? Like some funky stuff there. I think so. So I think that they're not the most well-rounded necessarily to rate you accurately. The skills, I think, are really going to be helpful for that. But I also think that the scoring does provide a really great benefit and value to your skill in the sense of your mental game, because that is a huge part of pickleball. So you're really only getting rated, for the most part, with few exceptions, on DUPR rated matches. So tournaments, leagues, round robins, or whatever it might be. But it's like an official capacity versus just, messing around on the rec courts, whatever, and just playing with your friends, which you just don't play the same way at that point. So I think that both types of ratings are valid. And I love what DUPR is doing with these assessments because I think they have to go hand in hand. Now, what I tell people a lot, especially people who care, and especially people who are early on, like just getting started, is I actually warn them. I tell them to do DUPR. There's a way to do DUPR better. And you can pick one of 2 routes. I say, here's your 2 choices, right? Pick A or B. A is don't do it until you're ready. Get ready, play a bunch of rec games, then start drilling a little bit, like really care about your game. If you really care about your rating, take this route, right? Like you're going to find a partner. Don't do some random mixed partner round robin nonsense where you don't know anybody on the court. And that's what I did, by the way. And you're playing with such variables. It's really not even on you. It's not really representative of you in that. And so you're just like shooting yourself in the foot because you saw a DUPR thing and you decided to sign up for it. Don't do that. Really get to know your game, get to know your partner's game, and really focus. And then you have a really accurate, a much more accurate representation of your DUPR. So that's if you care about it. So that's route number 1. Route number 2 is you just want an assessment. You want a rating because you want to be able to get into tournaments or whatever. And so route number 2 is stop caring. Stop caring. Do DUPR however you want.
Just accept it.
Sign up for whatever you want that says DUPR. And just accept it. And who cares? Get into a tournament, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It truly does not matter. When you go out into the street, you know how many people are going to ask you about your DUPR? 0. Zero. If you're not in your pickleball club, ain't nobody even know what DUPR is. Okay, people. So nobody cares about this thing. You can put it all over your social media. You can put it, you can have the badge. You can wear it on your shirt if you want that you're a 4.3. What doesn't matter. Nobody cares. So neither should you. So I think everybody just needs to chill out here. Think of it as a true assessment and how like a ticket of entry. Like,
I'm
come
really
on,
excited
people.
for everyone to listen to this episode. If you haven't picked up on it, our guest today is Tito Machado. He answered some hard-hitting questions, Nikki. We went hard at him with some questions that I definitely had that I wanted to hear about. So personally, I really enjoyed this conversation because I got some answers.
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
I basically think that everyone can benefit from listening to what Tito has to say. I want everyone to understand that they are willing to listen to feedback and they want to make adjustments. It's not perfect. Tito's the first to admit kind of things are just heading in the right direction and we can all see that. So I'm really, really excited for everyone to listen to this one.
Oh, yeah. We got Tito. We got hit him with some hard questions and he came through. So let's hear how Tito did. Let's bring him in here, Mari. Come on in, Tito.
Come on, Tito. All right. Tito, welcome to the pod. I actually feel weird saying Tito because I speak Spanish, but what's your actual name?
My actual name is a secret of state. I don't reveal it because it's horrendous. No, I'm kidding. My real name is Gilberto Ezequiel Machado. So I have the most like freaking soap opera Spanish name that you can have.
Wow.
So yeah, Tito is way easier for everyone, for myself
Tito.
as included. Yeah.
I kind of like the full, but you have
Nikki,
to. I feel
did you expect that?
No, I didn't. Kind of. I'm Mexican, so I know how it goes. The names are always, like very, like the way you say dramatic, right? It's very, television, right? It's like the very
definitely.
Yeah, definitely got the drama in there. So I think we need you to say it again, but we need you to say it like it's in a soap opera.
I don't know if I don't even have too many years here in the US. I'm about to say Tito's again, but. No, my name is Gilberto Ezequiel Machado Vega. So,
man,
and I'm the third.
Ezequiel Machado Vega, el tercero.
Yep, el tercero, yeah.
Wow.
Just like,
nailed it.
That execution.
Nailed it. Beautiful.
Amazing execution, execution.
We'll stick with Tito for today.
We'll stick with Tito for today. Tito, welcome to the pod. Sorry to throw you off with the questions.
Love it.
We're already dropping the secrets.
Honestly, I don't think I really like. It's funny because I don't think people know. I think no one knows Gilberto is my name, so it's pretty crazy.
I'm convinced that in the U.S., since a lot of people have names like that, like Tito could potentially be a name here. It's rare that in Spain Tito would be a name. Like Mari, or in the U.S., Mari is not my name. It's Mariana, right, in Brazil.
Yeah.
But people say Mary Anna here, and it drives me absolutely nuts. So I stopped saying it was Mariana because they can't say it. So
Mariana.
Yeah. And listen, you have a great accent as well. I don't. So imagine my accent with my name. It's just like a battle, So I mean, I let people call me whatever they want at this stage. I'm like, and actually my introduction is always like Tito, like the vodka. That's usually how I say, So that's always my intro, and people seem to love that. They're like, oh, I like the vodka, cool, So it's a great receipt, yeah.
That's good.
Tito. But speaking of the vodka, how are you feeling today, man? You had a pretty exciting day yesterday. Something I don't know if people know this a lot of our listeners are pickleball listeners. So there was this thing called the World Cup happening, and there was
less
a team
important than Major League Pickleball. Not to
less
be
important than San Diego MLP. Yeah, that's fine. But there was a small team of underdogs from a country called Spain, España, that took out. Maybe the GOAT, right? So how are you feeling?
So I'm dead. I'm absolutely hungover. I was telling you guys off the record. That I was, the number of beers and drinks I had yesterday. So I'm surviving. But I do have to say, like, there's a testament of how much I wanted to be in this podcast because I wouldn't have shown up for 99% of the podcasts in the world. So very excited to be here. Very hungover, but I have a loose tongue today, so let's use it.
Love that. Hey, congratulations to Spain. Obviously, what a World Cup. I feel like this was just the most kind of all over the place World Cup we had too. With it being in the U.S., I think more Americans watched than ever, so it was actually pretty interesting for me to talk to Americans about it because in the previous ones, I was kind of watching more on my own. I think there was a lot of good stuff, and congrats to Spain. They were the significantly better team. So
Significantly.
it would have been painful if Argentina won yesterday. I did watch the entire game.
Yeah, it was, again, I'm a Messi fan also growing up. I'm a big Barcelona guy.
Too.
So it was a little bit of, hard, all one in my country to win, of course, but I knew it was the last game of the gold. And then, but the minutes were passing and I'm like, oh my God, we're being so much better. If he comes and scores in the last minute, this is going to be the most heartbreaking
and that's what he does
thing in the world.
That's
and
what
that's
he does.
Exactly what he does. So there were a couple moments where I was like, he's going to do it. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. So I think it was well deserved, and I am, just super excited again because it's also I think the Spanish team is a great representation of the Spanish culture. All like great kids, young, like super respect. I don't know. I feel very identified with the Spanish national team right now, and like you said, Mari, like being in the US is the first time I feel the fever. I feel like people are talking about it. I feel like people care.
It was exciting.
People are congratulating me, and like they are so excited about it. And again, it's a little bit like that pickleball phenomenon that we had a couple of years ago, where we went from being a joke to being this massive sport. So many times, I remember I used to tell people a little bit was that like, oh, what do you do? I work in pickleball, and now I was like, I work in pickleball, So
say it with your chest.
exactly. So I feel like we've seen those trends happening with football here in the US as well. So it's just very exciting to that people enjoy this and they now understand our passion for it, like with pickleball.
Right. No, I love what you just said, because being from Brazil, our culture, the saying in Brazil is that the two most important things in this order are football and God. Right? This is always just like how we grew up, which is pretty crazy, right? Like that's our culture is soccer. Like it's something that's hard to explain. So we live and breathe it. When the soccer team loses, it's like the death of like something really important in the country. So it's I was really excited about the World Cup this year being here because my American friends, I think, felt a little bit more of what we feel usually. So hey, yeah, at least it wasn't one of the other teams that is closer to Brazil in world record titles. Spain has some work to do, though you probably will win the next one too.
I'm not gonna jinx it. I'm not gonna jinx it, but I know we did. I know we did Brazil a big favor yesterday. I know I had a lot. I think the number one people that were hugging me at the bar
were Brazilian.
They were coming to me like I had anything to do with it. Like I played the game or something. Like thank you so much.
Right. You did
we were
that.
with you, and I'm like I know you're welcome, guys. I got you. So it was great. I'm just out there like freaking.
Absolutely love it. Tito, obviously. You are not just a guy that's at the bars consistently, you obviously celebrated a big thing yesterday. So how did you get to where you are? Can we start there, please? I'm curious. I don't think I've heard this story.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I always say I have the most niche career in the world. I came to play college tennis here in the US as a pretty mediocre player. Great video, great,
nice.
One of those.
Great edits.
So exactly, yes. Like I just look good, which all I needed to be able to make it here. And then started, came to college, and then after college I started working in New York. I started coaching tennis all over New York, and then I lived in Westchester and was running academies over there and running programming over there. And back in the day, this thing called UTR came into place. So I started running UTR events as a club director, as a facility operator, so started running UTR events in New York, and then at that time we were making it very prolific. So I went from Jill Braverman, actually, she's on tour right now. She was running the sales department at UTR. I was a big organizer, so I had an interview with her, and Jill recruited me to go over and work at Silicon Valley. And again, this was all like super new to me because I was a coach. I had never been on a corporate job. I had never done this in my life before. I was a person that ran programming at clubs. The really cool thing about this is that I was 25, 26, moved from New York to Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, completely different environment, and started working at UTR, as a complete kind of underdog there, because remember my first day in the office, it was like, oh, where did you go to school? Harvard, Stanford, this, and I'm like, MBA, and I'm like, what do you do? Oh, I was feeding tennis ball 2 weeks ago. But the unique thing that I think made me grow very fast over there was that I knew the grind. I had been at the club level. I knew the issues. I knew the pain points. I had been yelled by someone who felt like they were on the right group because they were supposed to be the rating. I've dealt with parents. So that helped me because when I was talking to clubs and when I was talking to directors, I was one of them. I was literally one of them. I wasn't like the sales person from Salesforce calling you and trying to sell you software. I was like, dude, I get it. Like let's do this. So from there in 2021, I got a call from Ann Worcester and Jill, which they were creating Major League Pickleball, which was a new professional league in pickleball, which I just knew to be a thing that was played in the park by old people. And we were creating a rating and a platform for it. So spoke to them and they were like, hey, come to DUPR. We're going to build this from scratch. There's this guy named Steve Kuhn that is going to fund all of this, and we're going to sell teams, and we're going to go and create, because DUPR and Major League Pickleball were the same company. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we were the same company. So left my job at UTR, went into pickleball, which was a crazy move at that moment
ever
in
playing?
time. Without ever play, I went down to a PPA event down in Arizona at Legacy. And that was my first kind of experience. I flew there.
Wow.
and I got into a cab or an Uber, and I went to the club, and I got to the club and I saw 40 courts in the middle of the desert, and like people having White Claws and people like drinking. So Tyson walking around, and Jill was playing pro, so I was talking to all of the pros, and I saw the vibe, and the pros were a little more accessible at that stage still to the player. I felt like, you saw a lot of the pros at the practice court with the 3-0, and you see it in some balls. So it was still at that stage. It was a very clear aha moment for me, like, oh my God, this is going to explode. And then obviously right there, started playing in that tournament. I played that tournament. The community took me in. So, and then I started working. So it all kind of like happened a little differently. And then again, I've completely fell in love and made it my mission in life to serve this sport. So it's been wonderful.
What was it like more specifically that, especially with you playing and that experience, that kind of that you fell in love with? What was it that kind of started that mission?
Like, honestly, I think the most beautiful thing about it wasn't the game itself, because again, I'm a racket sports person. I've played padel. I played, and I was in Washington, New York. We had this, and the other padel, which is the one that you play in the winter, and so I've done all of those sports in all my life, and the tennis culture, I know it so well, but I think the community within pickleball which is what everyone says, right? At the end of the day, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but it's true. I mean, the fact that I left that weekend, I remember it, cracking up with Ryan Sherry, with some amateurs that were, some beginner players that were there at the 3-0 level. And we were all together and laughing, and then we were at the hotel, and he was telling stories, and I went to my next tournament, and I started making friends. And so I think one of the most important things about our sport is that, you grow up, and it's way more difficult to make friends and be social. And I struggle with that even to today's day. Like I don't make new friends anymore. It doesn't happen. It's just like you have your friends and you move to a new place, and how do you connect with new people? It's very odd, And pickleball was kind of like, oh my God, like you play pickleball. Oh my God, let's talk. Oh my God, let's go to the courts. Oh my God, see you at 6 a.m. And that's how the whole kind of like the tentacle of pickleball grabs you, and now you're hooked, and now you're a park playing open play with random people, and they're all great. So the community is definitely the most unique thing that ever happened as a phenomenon in America.
Man, you saw that instantly. Your introduction was like you were completely enveloped by the community. Exactly that. I also just want to say how accurate this is. Like, everyone listening right now, I'm assuming, are probably pickleball players, or they know about the sport, and they know, like, as you're talking to me, I can feel it. I can feel everything that you just said, because I've experienced it. Everybody has experienced this. I guarantee you, pickleballers, take out your phone right now and look through your phone and all the people, contacts in your contact list with the name pickleball, like the last name pickleball.
Hundreds.
Right? Hundreds. I'm like, who are all these other people who don't have pickleball in the name? I don't need it. No, but it really is truly incredible to create that connective tissue in the world, and especially in a time where I think society needs it more than anything. I think that's a beautiful part of that. And it's so cool that that's how you got started with all of this.
Yeah, listen, someone recommended to me a book which is like bowling in America. I forget. It's a phenomenon of bowling that happened in America, like in the 80s and 90s. And the thing was absolutely crazy because it was like this whole Harvard professor run a study of like, like the fact that it was a community, people come, there was this whole bowling thing and created this like social links between people. And we had so many clubs in America that were happening at that time. You have, people will go to church or people will have this group of friends and they will clap for this and clap for that. And that has been dying. Like all of these community aspects in the country have been, people don't bowl anymore. People don't have this communities anymore. So pickleball, I think, has been a great replacement to something so innate in the culture. True community aspect that we miss. So that book is it was amazing for me to read. And then there's and then there's a documentary as well that are about it. And it was just so cool to see because it's so true, like us being able to find this community and be part of something bigger than us. And kind of it's exactly the pickleball phenomenon at the right time after COVID. And it's just been so unique.
I love that. I think that's exactly what this sport is doing. And I want to see that the sport continue doing that. Where do you see DUPR fitting into all of that? Considering this is your mission, where do you see DUPR is contributing, enabling, all of that?
There is a toxicity around the rating that we've discussed in the past, which it's not where we want this to go, right? At the end of the day, DUPR is built to be the language of the sport. And that's the core of what it is. It's very simple to just be able to be in Vietnam and know your level and be able to come to New York and find people at your level to have a great experience. It's an organizational tool, not a cool kids club. And now we don't talk to you because you're not part of the cool kids club anymore. So I think the most important thing about DUPR is literally that. And I think that's where people are looking at it the wrong way. And we need to do a better job explaining it, right? Because the whole open play kumbaya, right? Doesn't exist anymore. That's a reality. And we need to be okay with that. So people are not okay just going to the courts and having whatever experience is going to happen today. Because people have families, they're busy. So they want to guarantee that the 2 hours that they get to do to the love of their thing that they love is maximized, right? It's just the best experience that you can be. How do you do that? Just playing with people at your level, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, but they're having fun and engaging games. That's what DUPR is supposed to create. Just making sure that you find those groups so you now open play, the organizational part of the game can be done at your level so the experience is good. You never feel like you're getting beat on. You never feel like you're beating on anyone. It's just a great 2 hours of your day and you're maximizing the experience. That's what DUPR is supposed to do. Now, what happens is that like everything in today's world, we live in an extreme, dopamine hit kind of like society, So people don't want an accurate rating. This is reality. People want a higher rating. So the whole goal of DUPR is always gamifying it, like Duolingo. I get my next batch. I get my next movement. And like DUPR wasn't born for you to grow that ladder. This is not about like, how do I go from a 3.5
for you to check daily, right?
Exactly.
Like I have students tell me, it's like, I check after every match. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like this is supposed to be an average of your scores to see what your level is, not something that you're, like if you stay at 2.5 forever and you're having meaningful experiences on the court, that's all we want. That's what we care about. It's okay to be at 2.5 for the rest of your life and have meaningful experiences. You don't have to be Mario Humberg and play on the MLP tour. You don't have to. It's not what the sport is about. But I think we're so used to as a society to kind of like always like try to gamify the experience. Everyone loves Duolingo. Everyone talks about Duolingo. Everyone loves Strava. You hit the next PR and the next record and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. That wasn't the intention of DUPR. So that's why people always feel like we're hurting them because their DUPR is not going fast enough or gamifiable enough up when that's not the intention. The intention is like with the data that we have, how can we give you an average of how you are on your average day, not on your best day, not on your worst day, on your average day, what is your level so we can find meaningful playing experiences.
You talk about data. I think that there's a part of that where people, you said something that's really important is people want to hire DUPR. They don't want an accurate DUPR, right? There's part of this about the data that people want more, like every tiny bit of data that you can possibly pump into DUPR to give them the most accurate rating. And, I think even the algorithm that you're using and the analytics that you're using provide the DUPR. like people just still aren't happy with. They want, I mean, just so many different things. So can you talk a little bit about that, about the data aspect of this and how, where we are, maybe even where we're going to some extent?
Yeah, for sure. So listen, we have 50 million games. We have really good data. We have a bigger data set than anyone in the sport will ever have and can have. We have history looking at levels, all the stuff. Again, I think the complicated part of this is that it wouldn't really matter, any case. We had a win go up, lose go down algorithm. People weren't happy about that because there were people deflating, people inflating. Then we moved into a spread model. People weren't happy because of that, because they're winning, because you can win and go down. So I think the question is, are we ever gonna make everyone happy? No, because everyone is always gonna be a 5-0 instead of a 4-5. And one of the most important things about this is that pickleball is a very strange sport in the sense that you can feel competitive with people that are better than you on a good day. There are moments.
That's a great point.
So you feel you can have days where you're playing really good, so you're playing way above your level, and pickleball allows that. Pickleball allows people to play way above their level at competing. So Mary, I'm sure you see this probably so much as well with people that look very good and they feel like they could be pros. But again, that peak of their level is not their average level. They might be a great, 5-0, but they don't have what you have to be able to play at the highest of levels. But that day, they felt like they have it. So in their head, it's kind of like, oh my God, I can compete with these people. That happens across every group, reg thing, because you have the one game with the 3-5, with the 4-0, that you were very tight. And automatically, your mentality is like, that's my level now. That's where I'm at, right? You don't look at the average delusion, I would call, but I
like that better. Delusion, you're right.
But you don't look at the other 100 games that we have from you where you didn't compete at the level, right? You only won that one game that was exactly where you wanted it to be. Again, we have and our data set is insane. It's absolutely insane. We keep adding more, and now we're adding AI as well. We're adding AI to be able to you can record yourself. You're gonna be able to get you're gonna be able to see who had more participation in the game. Whose fault was it? Who played better? Who dominated more?
That's what they like to say.
There you go. Yeah,
exactly. That's what the people say, right? Like, this is it wasn't my fault, And again, I've looked at this data already, by the way, guys, like a lot. Like we have so much more with that, and it's still not gonna be what people think there is, because even when people think that it was their partner's fault, maybe if they're targeting your partner, there are certain things that you should be doing as a higher level player to be able to make sure that your partner is targeted less. So that's a representation of level as well. Getting targeted might not be your fault. What you do when your partner is getting targeted, that's also a representation of level that people don't want to do, because
you're
you
preaching
should
to
make
the choir
smaller.
Here. I'm teaching this at every clinic I go to, right? And Tito, to your point, just a fun story for me to tell here. There's been at least 5 instances, so this was not an isolated instance, okay, where I've taught a 3-0 to 3-5 clinic, and then 1 to 2 weeks later, the student asked me to play a rec game. He just smiles. He's like, "Yep, crazy." Crazy thought to me. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm not available. I try to be nice,
No, of course. This is again, I think DUPR can usually be and listen, we can take it. We're fine being the the
bad guys.
How do you go? Yeah, the bad guys, or the people that you're gonna put a comment and we get some. And again, listen, that's a good thing, all right? There is so much. If you put DUPR on a forum, it's just like you can test it. You just go to the kitchen and put DUPR, and you just see like freaking everyone just talking about it. So and that's fine, because people care so much, and it's our engagement, our number of users, our growth is absolutely unbelievable. We have over 2 million users. Like, it's just a phenomenon. We have Eric Fitzgerald talking about his DUPR the other day on Part of My Take. We had Michael Bublé just posted about DUPR. Like, we talked about him like 2 days ago, and his rating. Trevor Noah in New York has a DUPR. Like this is a cultural phenomenon, and we're super proud. Like, we're trying to figure out, because sometimes we're seen as this big corporation, the big, and we're not. We're actually a small team that really cares about the sport. So we're really trying to put this message out. But there has to be a cultural reshift in every aspect. DUPR is blamed for it. It's fine, but this is the culture at the clubs that need to change, right? It's more of a physical, what's happening at the club culture. We need to stop a couple of the situations that are happening for people to stop blaming DUPR, because it's very easy to say, I didn't get into the 4-0 clinic because of my DUPR. Well, maybe not. Maybe we need to work on the backhand denk a little more, and we need to be a little more solid, and maybe we should work on.
That's what I always tell people.
Yeah.
I
DUPR's
feel
not your problem.
attacked.
It's the
I
skill.
feel
Sorry,
attacked in
Nikki.
this
Hey, I do have
conversation. No.
a question.
Okay.
Tito, have you noticed any consistency with who your biggest problem children are? And I'm only asking this because, to your point, you worked for UTR before. Nikki, I don't know how far into the tennis hole you were to have a UTR. I had a UTR, and it was actually what determined my transfer to my new school. My UTR got high enough to where the coaches just trusted. It was such a blind trust in college tennis that my transfer was based on my UTR, and obviously looking at results and stuff. But as a tennis player and someone that relied on a rating like this before, I personally think it's good for the sport, and I often argue for DUPR when I get into these conversations. So I'm curious as to, do you think the people causing these troubles are people that have never had an individual rating like this before?
No. Listen, I think it's a complex concept, because listen, the tennis, like the consumer of UTR was a highly competitive junior player trying to get into college in America, right? Like it's a very different demographic, right? Like here we're telling a lot of players we are the ones who are gatekeeping their desired playing experience. So we did something that might have been a mistake now retroactively looking at it, which was like we went and told all of the club organizers in the world, you don't have to be the bad guy anymore. You can just say it's on DUPR, because it's like, you don't have to tell Mari that she's not good enough to play on the photo clinic on Saturday, because that's a bad situation for the club director, because then Mari gets upset with the club director. They're not being fair with me, and I want to go to the other club. So what you do? Okay, I gatekeep based on DUPR. Okay, so all there was all perfect. All was all like great, like that was kind of the logic. We went to clubs. We told the clubs, hey, don't tell people that they're not good enough to play on this clinic. Now use the number. Now, by the way, it's a great pathway too, because if someone is a 3.6 and they want to get into the 4.0, hey, this is a great opportunity for you as a coach to work on the things that need to improve for that person to go from the 3.6 to a 4.0 to then play. The problem is that, I think that message with the coaching was so well addressed, and it was so well taken to take all of them. Well, I'm sorry, we do it by DUPR, so you're just not allowed to play. That I understand why anyone in the world, when they're being told that they cannot play because of this number, they are going to have some feelings about it, and they're going to be upset, because we are kind of like the SAT score that didn't allow you to play at Brown, didn't allow you to go to Harvard, right? We told you that you can just go to Bloomsburg, where I went, and that's where you get to go now. So I think that's it. I think we're telling, we're working with a demographic of like people of different ages than juniors, right? That looking at this metric, and this metric is maybe not allowing them to play with the friends that they want to play, or maybe they feel like they're better than that, and it's very difficult for anyone when they're told that no, you cannot play on this group. Like we all wanted to, when I started playing pickleball, right? I really wanted to be on the 5.0 group on WhatsApp, because I want to get in there. So I'm a tennis player. I play college. I can be good. If I wanted to, I will be pro. So I'm kidding. That's what everyone thinks. But
hear that often too.
I know. You see, but that's a big issue. So, and that's where all of the complexities come, and why people are obsessed and also pissed, because it's something that is limiting your experience.
There's so many great points in there that, it's a really different beast than any other sport, because again, pickleball is still so early, and because 99% of the pickleball world is on the rec courts. These are athletes from other sports who maybe don't even have racket sports background, or tennis players who are coming in who think that they understand pickleball, who are the best at pickleball just because they had a tennis background, right, Mari? And then she was a 5.0 in like a week. But you also have, in a very unique way, adults playing sports that have not played competitively in decades. And then you have this world of social media on top of that. DUPR is kind of like blending these two worlds, because then social media, right? We all know that everyone's scrolling Instagram and comparing their lives to everyone else's lives on vacation. So that's kind of a very similar thing that they're now comparing themselves DUPR wise. And so there's this weird societal thing that's happening that doesn't happen in other sports. And Tito, I hate to say it, but this is on DUPR's shoulders. You opened the floodgates when you said,
fault.
This is your fault. Yeah.
Listen.
You said, let me be the bad guy. No.
I know. Listen, you're so right, Nick. You're so right, and it absolutely is, and it's the perfect mix. And again, like sometimes I also think that I think I'm learning, because I used to get a little sensitive about this, and I used to go on Reddit, and I used to read some of the things, and I used to because we care so much. We're putting so much hours. Like, again, people don't realize how much we've done for the sport. We sponsor every college kid. We sponsor so many programs. We facilitate money to so many different places. We've been such a vehicle for so many things in the space. Like, we spend so much freaking money that we've had to help growth of the game. And then we try to do a subscription of something, and people, DUPR is a money grab.
Panic.
Like, they're trying to take our money. Like, all of this. I'm like, oh my God, like, what do you guys, like, we are a private company. I do need to figure out at some point how to make this profitable, or I will get fired from the board is not going to keep me around. It's been a very interesting ride because I feel like, we've been such an important piece for the sport to be where it's at right now. Again, no one cared about college pickleball. There was not a single. We spent so much money on that, on high school pickleball, on junior pickleball, on so many of these programs. So at the end of the day, I think it doesn't matter. I think people just want to be loud sometimes on social media, and that's what I'm realizing
100%.
and educating myself, because we haven't seen any engagement go down. We haven't seen the users, the opposite. Like,
Right.
All the money grab complainers, guaranteed you, signed up for all of it.
They did the DUPR reset. I guarantee it.
I'd love to see those analytics. I want to see.
Ask me if they should do it too. And my question, by the way, and Tito, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. You can send me in whatever direction you want. I am a supporter of DUPR. I want to be clear here I think a rating is necessary for our sports. It's never going to be perfect. I also happen to be very good friends with an employee of the company. Bobby Oshiro is one of my closest friends. And we often talk about things about how it's never going to be perfect. People are always going to complain. But I think it's so necessary. But when people ask me, like, how do I get my DUPR up? I always tell them, you're asking the wrong question.
Exactly.
It's like, let me watch your. They ask me, can you rate me? I'm like, no, let me see your forehand dink. Let's talk about drives. I'm not as stuck on the rating as people are, and I hope to be spreading more of that when I'm talking, right? And this is why I collab with DUPR on a lot of videos, and I never talk about, like, if your DUPR is a 4.2 and you want to get to a 4.4, this is what you do. I always talk about, here's how you improve this shot, and naturally things are going to get better. But one of the big questions that I have, and sorry, you can comment on that in a second too, is this is a universal rating. And I think universal ratings are very tricky because there is a 7-year-old that's part of the same rating as me. There's an 85-year-old that's part of the same rating as me as well. And obviously we're competing against completely different opponents. We are participating in completely different tournaments. I'm playing significantly more than them typically, right? Because this is my job. How accurate, or do you think it's a problem to have everyone in the same exact pool? I guess that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, no, listen, I've been defending the universal aspect of DUPR since the beginning, just because, again, I think this sport needs a universal rating more than any other sport, right? I think because one of the things that people don't realize is that, 25 to 30% of our matches are non-traditional matches. What I mean by that is that where you have one female against 3 males. 3 females and 1 male. That doesn't happen in any other sport. So, like, this is some real data points that we have. This is not us like making it up. This is just like 30% of the matches that come to DUPR are non-traditional. Okay, so people don't realize that. So
interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. So when you look at all of those things, when you look at the only sport that has a mixed professional league like Major League Pickleball, right? When you have like this competing against each other, and it just makes sense. The other big thing for me is that, listen, the age has been a big one, and we added age ratings. We added 50 plus and 65 plus to the rating.
Oh, nice.
We did that. Honestly, that was me taking my pride in a little bit and kind of accepting that this is what the community wanted. Putting it out there. For me, the big issue that I had with that is that I've seen 70-year-olds that are extremely good competitors that have extremely high ratings and are able to compete at the highest level and like, beat me. I play with Brian Levine all the time, right? And like Brian Levine is, Brian, I hope, take this back. He's like double my age, and like I've never beat Brian, I never beat Brian. Yeah, I've never beat Brian in my life, So you have Whitwell, who was winning MLP like a couple years ago. So my whole point is, like, the second that you have representation of a group that is competing at that level of a DUPR rating, why wouldn't you be able to be compared to the rest of the world? It's just that's a beautiful thing about the sport. So listen, and again, UTR was the same, by the way. You had Serena Williams in the same rating as Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal and everyone else, and we were able to look at all of those numbers. It was exactly the same. Now, we had a mix because I also feel that it's fair that mix it's also played tactically different than other sports. So mixed was one of the ones that I've always felt like, yeah, we need a mixed rating, because I do think that just the way the game is played strategically, so it differs from how it's played in other aspects. But as I was saying, it's honestly all about data and connectivity, right? Like it's that's all it is. I think having the same rating creates the opportunity for a 7-year-old in Vietnam to know where the paths to be able to be married one day and be able to compete at the highest level and be able to get recruited to a college and be able to. So it just creates a universal language, And if a 4-0 is a 4-0, no matter of the age, because hey, yeah, you might have less mobility than you're 70, you have less mobility, but if you are smart enough on the court and you're covering the court right and you don't miss, you are a 4-0. Yeah, just because you're 70 doesn't mean you're a 4-0. So this is the part that is less confusing. Imagine I had a rating for every single, age group, every single category. Which one do we use, guys? Which one is the one that you accept at the club? Like, I want to use this one. Oh no, I want to use this one. No, this one is better for me. So it just
People would
confusion.
choose, too.
Exactly.
Sure.
It creates confusion. So at the end of the day, I think having a number that translates very closely to representation of who you are is the most helpful way to find level-based play, which is ultimately what DUPR is about, and not an ego booster tool.
Yeah, you should have them sign a contract, the Apple terms and conditions. That should be what pops up every time you start a new DUPR. I'm curious. Actually, I've been talking to a lot of friends about this recently who want to be able to play those open plays, those duplicated open plays, but they don't necessarily want to play tournament matches or, DUPR matches cost money. At least here in New York City, I don't know what that's like necessarily in other parts of the country, but what would you say to somebody who says, like, I want a DUPR and I'm fine with paying for, the DUPR subscription, but throughout the year, like, I don't want to have to play tournaments. I don't want to have to play those things. But I still want to have a rating so I can have access to these things. What is your feeling about that?
Yeah, so that's a couple of the things that we have added. Like as I said, the DUPR AI. If you're in a facility where you're going to be able to, it has a camera. We're integrated with all of the hardware companies. So I know in New York there is a lot of clubs who do have cameras and stuff like that. So that's going to be accessible for any player to be able to just go on the court, play, and get your DUPR AI. I'm very excited about that. So that's going to be massive. That's also going to be part of a bigger composite rating, which is, we're going to allow AI to have an influence on the rating, just looking at how you're performing and how you're playing. So people have been asking for that on weights and stuff like that of who goes, what weight goes to who. That's going to be good on paper. Then you're going to see when I do that, how people are going to be upset telling me that, well, that person got the credit, but it should have been my credit. They're never going to be happy. But that's going to come out. And then also we have DUPR Coach. We just acquired on the DUPR Coach aspect, being able to certify coaches to be able to give rating to players, their first initial rating. And that's a big program with over 2,000 coaches that allows people who want to get rated through the system that we have. And we're adding some new things. Now that we bought it, we're kind of changing a couple of the things and stuff that we're going to add to the program. But we're trying to make it super accessible, and it's still free to join DUPR and get a rating with DUPR always. So we're gonna make it as accessible as it can be for people to get rated. And the most important thing also, which I see a lot, is to always try to update that. Try to go and play some DUPR games if you can. Because people hold into their DUPR for 2 years and they're like, well, my DUPR is wrong. DUPR is a 2-2, but I'm already a 3-3. But DUPR is still showing me a 2-2. Guys, I don't know what I don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So if I don't see anything,
here you go.
Here you
go. DUPR expiration dates, like your driver's license. You gotta refresh your DUPR and prove it every, year or 2 years. How about that?
I love Nikki. I've been talking about that for a long time. And the problem, what about those 5-0s coaches that have their DUPR as their badge of stamp and they don't want to play because they don't want their DUPR to go below a 5-0? Watch them on social media killing me.
Yeah, they will. They will. And I do like the feature of your highest ranking or rating because I think
Career
it's actually
high.
helpful for the career high is helpful for sometimes if you go 0.2 below, clubs are sometimes using the career high rating now to let people in because it's not enough of a difference, right? If you drop a full point, maybe you shouldn't be let into that open play. But if you dropped 0.2 because of a bad tournament last week, I don't mind you still joining the 4-0 open play.
Yes. And we're doing something that is going to be game changer in many ways. We had a little bit of volatility when you hadn't played in a while. And the reason we did that was for the protection of the Nikki, it was a little bit of the effect that you were saying. I was kind of like, hey, like if you don't keep your reliability up, it's going to go low, and then that's going to create more volatility. And our intention with that was maintaining people playing more. It didn't really help because people will still protect the rating. They weren't playing more because they didn't care about the reliability. So then they will come play with a one reliability, and they will see massive movements upwards, and it's almost like relearning all over again. We're taking it away. Where our intent to create people playing more didn't work, was a failure. People still protected the rating, which was what we're trying to get with the volatility. So we're taking that volatility away. We want to kind of keep, if you haven't added a DUPR in a year, but you've kept playing, we might as well assume that you're at least the same level, or maybe a little more. Maybe you should never go 0.2 until you prove to us in 5 games that you are 0.2 lower. So we are going to give people that little bit of a buffer that haven't played, because most of the big complaints that I saw was a lot of APP players that weren't playing PPA. They weren't playing for a year. So that now APP started using DUPR, and now we saw like people like going up too much because I had low, or going low too much, and so it created this whole thing. So again, it's a growing pains of a new sport, a rating in the sport, learning all of these things, and kind of like adjusting to the community on what's happening live, to be honest.
Yeah, this is something that I've discussed with multiple people, but I think it's hard when you don't control who people play against and who people play with, right? So obviously you as DUPR can't tell Nikki who she can and can't play with, but depending on the groups and the circles that she's part of, it makes it difficult. So we've even coined this the DUPR bubbles. I don't know if you've heard. This is your own company, and I'm over here telling you about something that we discuss. And by we is a few pros talk about this, because in Vietnam, for example, the singles level is already insane, especially on the men's side. There are some really, really good singles players, but their DUPR ratings are lower than the US ones. And that's because they mostly compete against each other. That's what it seems like.
No.
So,
okay. You know what it is?
Yeah.
So it's funny. And that's going to get fixed with the True North guns. And I'll talk about that in a second, because I think that's really important. You are completely right. We had those bubbles in the US with the old algorithm. And this is why we watched it, right? This is why we went into this. This is what when people spread, how can you win and go down? Well, that's because you were playing in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. You were the strongest in the group. You just won every single time. Your DUPR kept going up to a point where you're completely inflated, right? Because you're just winning. You're the most dominant person in your group. So you keep getting rewarded. The people that were benefiting from that, of course, they're going to hate the spread system. Of course, they're going to hate it, because that system was so easily, and also we had the other cases, by the way. We had people that were playing at their level, like they were doing really good. They were losing games, 11-9, 11-9. They were always there. They're always like very close to winning, but they're losing, but they're always but they're at the right group. They lose more than they win, which, hey, finishing games in pickleball is a very important aspect as well. Like sometimes you can be very competitive and just not bring it through the line, right? But those people were deflating just because they were losing against people. The results were really good, but they kept deflating. So we're creating this polarized system. So that's why we went to spread. Vietnam, funny enough, we had a little bit of a different issue that is getting fixed now, is that there is a lot of money tournaments in Vietnam. Everything is a money tournament, okay? So Vietnam is the land of sandbagging to the absolute limit. Why? Because
there's money in every level.
So you can make the same money on the 3-5 bracket and on the 5-0 bracket. So if I'm a 5-0 and I know that I can make a month salary winning this tournament at the 3-5, we have people trying to.
I'm playing 3-5. I get it.
3-5, and so we've seen that issue happening. So now this connectivity aspect that we're adding, call it True North, which is very similar, Mari, to the UTR rating. It's kind of our more accurate version of DUPR. We haven't put this in front of the community just because it's completely dynamic. And I don't think our community is really dynamic. I don't think people are ready to see their DUPR move without playing. Because like this algorithm is like a living thing. The more data, the more it learns, the more.
UTR did this though. It was hilarious, because I remember even in college we would always mess around with, well, I beat that girl. Hopefully she beats everyone now.
Yeah,
this was like an ongoing joke.
So we have exactly that, like ready to. We have it in the back. That's what we base our rating to compare it to the most accurate version, and that's the rating I would love to put on DUPR. Don't get me wrong. If it was because of me, I'm a purist. I will freaking put that, because that's the most accurate version that DUPR could ever be. Again, but that means that DUPR receives, there's millions of matches every month. It learns, So maybe the 4.0 is not what we thought it was anymore because the algorithm learned more. And maybe you're a 3.8 with all of this data because we learned who
And
you
then they
played against.
panic.
It's a domino effect. And we were getting killed about this movement. I went to sleep being a 4.0 and woke up being a 3.7. Oh my God, it was the worst thing ever. But we're adding some aspects to regulate those issues in markets. We're going to use True North to reach that people directly because now that we have connectivity from US players going over there, we're not going to allow that cheating anymore, and that's going to put people on the right place. So we're doing a massive reset in Asia ourselves and putting people where they're supposed to be.
Okay.
And it also sounds like the AI assessment, the video footage will also potentially correct this as well, because would that factor into the score? And you said everything will composite?
Yes, everything will composite. And again, I think this is the other complex, right? Because we all love this AI. Everyone loves AI right now. Everyone loves to add AI and all of this, right? There is a much submission that comes with AI, right? And this is something we're gonna have to look in the future because no one is gonna want to submit their worst looking video, right?
Sure.
So it comes to recording yourself and stuff like that. This is where results ultimately always are gonna be I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying it's always going to be the more objective metric to overall with a book history to be able to give people a number. We're adding these things because again, market is asking for it. They want it. It's important that we as DUPR are adding all of these things. But I've looked at the data already a lot from the AI. It's gonna give people what they want in terms of this being included in the rating. In many cases, it's not going to make that big of a change on the rating because I'm telling you, a lot of the time, it wasn't their partner's fault. It was their equal fault. They just think that it was their partner's fault, So, yeah.
Yeah. Is the video footage going to be submitted by the players, kind of in PB Vision? Or is it going to be, because I know you said the clubs will have it. How is this footage being submitted?
So we have integrations we have a deal with PB Vision, so they're going to be part of it. So one of the most important things to be able to be the rating of the sport, you need integrations with everyone. You need to make sure that every rating that is being given by every hardware company or every AI company is DUPR, right? And that's what we do with the platforms. If you use Pickleball.com, every time someone tells me oh my God, but there is a new competitor in the space, I'm like, yeah, but we have a deal forever with Pickleball.com, with Score Reserve, with Pop Play, with PB Vision, with PlaySide, which they're only so the accessibility is super important, like you said, Nikki, because some people DUPR is not accessible to them. So accessibility is important. So from any camera system that the club has, we're going to be able to do it. Again, even on PB Vision, it does take someone saying yes for that video to be uploaded to their DUPR. It's still an action that tournaments are still not submitting videos on every court for players unless you're playing professionally. So my only thing when it comes to this, I think it's going to be ahead. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be really good. But at the same time, I feel like it's not used as much as people think it is. It's still gonna, and also, it's also, I think people still want to submit what is, a great day for them.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because I'm wondering if there's a way, because I know DUPR recorded matches, you have to ask before, are you okay with this? Everybody, all four players have to approve that this is submitted to DUPR. So if there's some sort of video element to that, all four players have to agree that before they even play, this is going to be a DUPR recorded match, video recorded match. So that and then it gets submitted rather than cherry picking after the game. Oh, I want this match, something like that.
Yeah. It's exactly like that. And again, this is where we're gonna learn. Again, I think this is where it's coming out, so it's gonna be accessible. And now we're gonna learn how things are used. Because again, in a perfect world, everyone is gonna record everything, and everything is gonna be recorded, and we're gonna add all of the matches. And not everyone likes, first of all, to be recorded.
Yeah.
But it's going to be accessible. It's going to be there for everyone to be used. Now we're going to see it. And now we're going to see the adoption of people and how much, again, one video is great. I would like to see, I have people who have 500 games on DUPR. I would like to see 500 videos of that person, because that's when you talk about accuracy is, it's how many times. No, once with one video, I'm gonna use it, and then I don't see any videos more for next year. Those are the things that are more complex than people think. When it comes to the rating, we want to make it accessible. We will make it accessible. Now, it's very important that, the community uses it, adds video, adds more information. We feed it into the ecosystem.
You said 500 games was a lot for 1 month? Because I got that easy.
You want to break that record, Nikki?
I'll break that record easy, Tito. Challenge accepted.
Let's go.
I have two questions that are for my personal entertainment that other people might want to listen to. But since you've agreed that you're the bad guy, let's just lean into that. Do you have any fun emails or experiences about people just going crazy about their DUPR that you could share with us?
My
That's
God,
number one.
100%. Like this is the other the other thing. Again, I'm as passionate about this as anyone can be, and I talk to everyone. I go and I respond to absolutely everyone, and I give my number to absolutely everyone. So I go on DM, like I respond to like you have no idea the DMs I get sometimes and the hatred I get sometimes, and
That's why I'm so
yeah,
curious.
it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, listen, there was a video circulating of people of with my face going out to people that were sharing from another company, you know, which I was like, really, like you guys are using my face to this? And I saw people that accused me of their divorce, like you know they're getting a divorce because of
My
DUPR. I've
God.
That's
seen
your fault.
couples break up. Like I think there are people who wouldn't date other people because the DUPR and how much
I would
we're
never
hurting
date
their
someone
lives.
below a 6'0".
So, but this is real. Like this is like how you know all of those. Like I've gotten people yelling at me. I have like people like insulting me, and like it's been. And listen, like I really honestly, this is not even like I really don't care about that. Like that I
Sure.
care about the good people that we might be hurting their experience. That's what I really care about. Actually, when I spoke to Nikki the first time a little bit because I was like worried because I was like, oh my God, we're not giving the right, you know, the information that we're giving is not the right one. People are not comprehending what we want them to comprehend. So overall in the space, what really bothers me is misinformation, right? And hurting people that are good people that were ruining their experience. So when I see all of these messages they get, the crazy ones, and again, Mario, I'm talking hundreds. I'm not talking like one or two.
Yeah.
Like it's
No,
next
that's
level.
crazy.
And I see videos of me circulating, and I see people saying crazy stuff, all this stuff. I'm like, again, it's wild. But then I step back and I look at all of the people that sent me the thank you so much for the scholarship to be able to play on college. You know,
There's a
we are
good side
supporting.
too. Yeah.
No, of course, the rally for her event that we're putting in September.
Yes.
We're extremely excited. I've only had female bosses all my life, you know, and the fact that we're able to support the cause to get athletes and stuff like that. I'm super excited to put those programs, the high school programs that we're putting, the support in, like, and I look at all of those things. I'm like, you know, like, yeah, like, you know, and I look at our usage. I look at the people that complain from Reset. You have no idea how, like, Reset was huge. Like, we did very well with Reset. People sign up for it. So my whole thing is like, when you make yourself accessible to talk to people and give them your number, you also allow them and give them permission to say crazy things to you. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
I allow that. But I'm also have turned so many of those people that were really upset into allies, and now they're helping us build the future of the product. So
Awesome.
I think it's, you know, it's a good thing, you know, like, again, like it's like, I am so proud of our little team being a platform with over 2 million users. It's absolutely insane.
Tito, I just want to
That
give
was
you
a great
props
answer.
for that. Yeah, 10 out of 10, no notes. That was incredible. Everything that you always talk about, this is why I'm also such a big fan of DUPR. Besides the fact that I'm totally fine with it, you know, for all the reasons that we should be. But in addition to that, you've made me a tremendous fan of DUPR for your leadership in this organization and for that exact mentality of truly wanting feedback, right? And you take all of it,
Yeah.
the good, the bad, the very, very ugly, all of that. And you don't have to. I mean, so many CEOs out there are doing whatever they want to do or whatever for, you know, shareholder value or all of that. No, every single bit of what you're doing for DUPR is all for the best intention of the sport and of the player. And it comes through and it feels that. And so I just want people to realize, and I want people to really hear what you just said. And that's why it's so important for you to continue going on these podcasts and sharing that message, because I think it's so necessary that players, sure, there's always going to be keyboard warriors out there. Of course there are. But to understand also that, yes, even if you get hundreds of messages, you just said you have 2 million users. Look at all of those other users who aren't sending you those messages, who are using this in a really positive way. So remember that. And thank you so much for that mentality and this leadership of this organization. It's incredible.
No, thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much. I'm gonna make me cry. I think the hangover has me a little bit. My emotions are a little bit. I know.
I do have one more question. I have one more fun question. Fun for me. We'll see what you come up with. You came up with way too good of an answer. I was hoping you had like something crazy for me, Tito. But the second one is, I have had at least 5 people admit to me that they created a second DUPR profile.
Oof, man.
Which is insane to me, okay? When people tell me that as like they're proud of it, I'm like, stop doing that, you know? But I wanted to hear your thoughts and hear if anyone else has tried like switching their name or doing something to modify their ranking, their rating.
I mean, listen, I've had people trying to hook the system, Mary, that you wouldn't even imagine. Like, you know from the road. So So yeah, listen, I've seen it absolutely. I had some crazy calls with, again, pro players that I've been trying to hook the system here and there and do this, and people, like, I've had so many people have done, and again, and this is so the next step for us on that regard is the verified tournament. And this is we just added the phone verification that you can add. You can go to settings and add the phone verification. Nice. So we're gonna have tournaments that require people to have their email and phone verified, right? And then we're gonna have another tier, which is the ID verified tournaments, which is gonna be the ones that are the best. So we're adding that into the app. Nice. But again, it also requires this is our next thing, right? Like those level of verifications, it's a lot of technology that we need to add into the platform. So we are going to have to put it behind a subscription, because again, I know people think everything we do is, I don't know, we have money for growing on the trees.
You're a for-profit organization. I don't think you need to defend yourself there. Not for me.
For real. Yeah.
No. But listen, it's complex, because again, when we add this level of like, hey, we want to add this level of verification, we are going to have to put a subscription, and there's going to be tournaments that are going to need to require a subscription, and that's how we stop this. You have to be at a, verified one, which is phone number and email, verified 2 ID, and play verified events. And that's the culture that we wanna push here in the next few. We already have minor league pickleball is verified, for example, our own event, which is massive. We're doing this across other tours that are gonna take this. And yeah, people. Again, this is the funny thing, right? I have grown up people with families and real jobs and lives that are willing to go and create a second DUPR account to be able to hook the system. So this is the point of where, like, again, I'm like, I don't know if to be proud of what we've built or be like shocked of what we built, or, it's almost like, it doesn't make sense to me. I would never do that in my life. It's so odd that someone would do that.
No, I had never thought about that until someone brought it up to me. I was like,
people do it all the time. I know them. I'll give you names right now. So, what you're saying now is, people will obviously, they'll use phone numbers, emails. So you're saying that you're invested in Apple and Google stock, because second iPhone sales are going to go through the roof, because now everybody at tournaments are going to have multiple phones. Is that what you're saying? They're going to use multiple phones to sign in.
That's exactly
all their burners.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But the other thing I think is super important to understand, that people will not admit to this, but like, they get caught, by the way. We merge their accounts. So we see them. Like, we have a merge tool, and we added our team added an AI merge tool. So instead of Nikki with 2Ks, you're Nikki with 1K, but you are in the same city, same age, you're playing, and we see that you're playing, like, our AI tool will look like, this person looks like it's, and then we do and then we have our DUPR police and like a merge account. And by the way, when you get caught, we kick you out of the platform. And then you so we go, so we merge.
You take it seriously.
We take it very seriously, and then we merge them all.
People.
We merge them all, and now we have a whole commission that is like literally just put a whole team, whole thing that all they do all day is looking for like matches, matches. I mean, like people to people. So they're gonna get caught, and I just think, like, listen, I can promise you, it's not that big of a deal. You don't have to create a second account.
It's okay. Not worth it. It's not worth it, people. Relax.
Yes.
Man.
Wow. That was a more entertaining answer. Thank you for your hungoverness. Hung in tight there. We didn't get emotional that time. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Well, Tito, this has been an amazing conversation. I know that we're coming up on time. Mari, were there any other DUPR questions, or can we move into the question?
We can move into the question. No, I think you answered every question that I had, Tito. I won't have to text you or call you now to ask my questions, because this was very insightful for me.
I still will.
It's true.
I'll reach out.
Nikki will do it on my behalf. There you go.
You know it. And also, I just want to put it out there, if anybody's listening, they have questions for Tito, put them in the comments. We're going to share them with Tito. Yeah. We'll let him know what other questions we have, sparking from this conversation. So, all right, Tito, where we're moving into now is, so with 99% Pickleball, the majority of this conversation and these podcasts is about pickleball. But, there's also 1% that we reserve that's not pickleball related whatsoever. And Mari knows better than anyone else non-pickleball related questions. She has an entire repertoire of non-pickleball related questions. So she's about to ask you something that you don't know. She's going to ask you a random non-pickleball related question, and we got to get your answer. So let's do this.
Let's do it.
I'm actually excited for this one, because you're a fellow foreigner, and I want to ask you a question about when you moved to the US, or even nowadays. What's something that Americans do that you're like, why do they do this?
That's a great...
I have multiple answers for this, which is...
He's thinking.
It's cultural differences,
Yeah. Listen, this is this is interesting again because I've been here 15 years, so I feel like I've Americanized to the but I mean, listen. Listen. One of the main shocking things for me when I came, I'll give you a couple. Like one of the main shocking things first was the driving everywhere. I didn't comprehend it. I come from you had to drive absolutely like everywhere we go there. We need to jump in a car. Maybe Nikki, you're in New York. You're a little different. I know it's probably the more European style like public transportation. But I moved to Missouri. I couldn't walk anywhere. Everywhere I had to go. I had to get in the car, go to a place, go to the next one, go to the party. That was one of the. That was one of the. I think one of the things that I think I was very surprised that American did that they don't get enough credit because I think like social media and stuff, we always get the bad things about everything. We always everything we see is the negativity. And and it always pisses me off when I hear someone from outside the U.S. and say like Americans are like this, U.S. people are like this. I'm like, you can never freaking say that. That I hate hearing that because America you cannot put America in a box. It's such a big country with such wonderful people from so many places, so many different cultures and microclimates within America. Like people somewhere from Kansas City is not the same as someone from New York City or San Francisco.
Nope.
So when this country is put in a box, it's one of the most frustrating, annoying things to me because the people just say this is this. It drives me crazy because everyone was so open to me being a foreigner when I moved to this country. Everyone was so excited to hear how my culture was, and all of the and I wanted to learn more. I wanted to be friends. I felt so like loved, by so many people. Everyone wanted to take me to Thanksgiving and with their families.
I've gotten so many invites to Thanksgiving.
So many. So I think one of the messages I would like to give everyone that that hears this is like like listen, don't focus on the crazy person who's telling me that the DUPR is too low. Focus on the happy. Focus on the person that is opening the door, that wants you to go to the club with them, to join their open play, to teach you the sport of pickleball and stuff like that, because that's what America really is. That's what the culture really is. And I think my experience is a way more open society to a foreigner and to someone coming in than what people think it is. So I would say that let's end up the note in a good to this country.
Oh man, wow. Tito is media trained. Everyone, you nailed that.
No, those were good though.
Those were good.
It's true because it is so different here. But yeah, there's just random things that throw us off, right? Like I had never seen this many pickup trucks. What's up with people driving pickup trucks in the city?
Me neither. Me neither. Yeah. Coffee creamer. Coffee creamer was crazy.
The amount of fried food.
The amount of fried food.
That I just
that's just America. That's just America.
But the community aspect is incredible.
But listen, like seeing every other person that came here to the World Cup, I looked at I remember looking at a white ball, it was a white sauce ball, and looking like that thing looks disgusting. And then trying ranch for the first time and thinking, oh my freaking Lord,
what have I been missing out on?
I'm about to drink this. I'm gonna drink this.
Welcome to America. A big bowl of ranch. What I'm hearing from all of this is that you guys this year in a couple of months in November, both of you are going to have to come up here to New York, and you're going to have to come here for Thanksgiving. We'll play some pickleball and have Thanksgiving all together. That's what's going on. That's what we're going to have to do.
Listen, only you have a big bowl of ranch ready for me when I get there.
Oh, you know it. Absolutely. It's the American way.
Love it.
Oh, great answer. Oh man, Tito, thank you so much for joining us. We've had so many amazing guests on this podcast, but you're just so easy to talk to, and there's just so much to talk about. I think it was the tip of the iceberg. We're just kind of chipping away here because there's so much to get into. I want you to come back so we could learn even more about you. I have even more questions to know, but not just your full name. So I just want to say thank you for that. We did get that. Thank you for sharing your passion, your excitement, and more than anything, your mission and how you stick to that mission with everything that you do with DUPR. So loved having you, my friend.
No, thank you so much for having me, and 100%. I'll come back whenever you guys want. So just let me know.
Sounds good.
Love it. Yeah. Great to get you more as well, Tito. And I'll continue being a supporter of DUPR, whatever you need from me from the pro side, Nikki from the community side. She's our community representative.
Let's go.
I feel like we should name you that.
I'm the rec ambassador.
Yes. No, this was great. This was awesome. Thank you for your time. And go DUPR.
Go DUPR.
Woo, man, what a conversation. Mari, that could have been 2, 3, 4 hours. We just kind of kept going, talking about DUPR, talking about Tito, talking about ranch dressing.
All of the above.
All of the above. Wow, what a fun conversation. Tito and I have actually had multiple conversations before. Matter of fact, he actually reached out to me months ago because I had made a series where I multiple times referred to the DUPR monster. And I wasn't talking about DUPR itself. I was talking about how players act about DUPR and this like thing that creeps into your head. Anyway, so Tito reached out to me. So that's how we started our relationship. So I can give a testament to his intentions and his, I don't know, his ability to reach out to people directly and take in every bit of heat and respond to it. So anyways, that was crazy. He's awesome. He's so cool.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. I mean, the amount of stuff that he's dealing with. So yeah, I'll get into my main takeaways here.
Yeah.
First of all, it's important for us to just remember that this is a small organization that's doing their best, right?
Yeah.
I think that's my first takeaway, especially getting to talk to him, hearing his passion, hearing how much he's taking in input, and they're discussing internally and they're looking for solutions with the career high, with adding the mixed doubles rating, with adding the AI stuff, with adding obviously they keep adding stuff. So they are making adjustments and it's never going to be perfect. So that was just cool to kind of hear that even he's okay with taking that role of the bad guy, right? They're the bad guys. They're the ones that give us that little number that a lot of people thinks it defines them. And that's just not the case in my opinion. But that was my big one. And I think just how much negativity they're receiving was my second really big one. I think that people take for granted the accessibility that we have in this sport. Instead of trying to find solutions for things, people just want to be negative with it. The fact that you have access to the CEO of DUPR means that you should use that to the benefit of the sport, right? Not to the benefit of you personally. So here's my note to anyone that has reached out with negative messages to Tito. I think it's fine to express your concerns or to express what you're upset about. But I think more importantly, he's looking for solutions. So instead of just saying, hey, give me an extra point so I can play the open play with my friends, how about you talk to him about why you're there and where you can go and how you can improve rather than just asking for the magic.
Constructive conversations. Let's make the conversations or constructive criticism even to some
English
extent.
Is hard. I took a red eye last night.
There you go. That's all right. Yeah. You played well this weekend.
But I am a little tired.
You're forgiven. No, I think that's an excellent point. I would totally agree. +1 to both of those takeaways. My biggest takeaway is, well, a couple of things, but definitely how his start with pickleball. I actually was not aware of that story.
I wasn't.
It's like this thread that's been woven into his DUPR journey, and it makes so much sense for how he approaches DUPR now and how he takes in all of that criticism and really is looking to improve and also finding the balance between ego and what's right for everyone, for the user, for the company, all of that. It's really interesting. I loved hearing that origin story of falling in love with the sport. And I think people need to realize that, like, how cool is that? He's not some, anytime we hear the term money grab or whatever, he's not some money hungry, whatever, power hungry guy. Like, he's truly trying to make the sport better. So that's probably my biggest takeaway. I also just want to say, to second your point, like, chill out about DUPR. People, relax. This is above all, you asked me, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, my biggest pickleball pet peeve. And it is truly how people react about DUPR. Yes, you have not been rated since grade school. And sure, they're like the closest thing to ratings.
Certainly shows.
Yeah, it shows. The closest things to ratings since grade school we've had is the swipe left, swipe right. And you know how people get mad about
dating
that.
Apps. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But besides that, just the way that they take this so seriously, at the end of the day, the majority of us are not going pro. So why are we taking it this seriously? We need to consider what is our intention. I think every single, like, DUPR needs to be a dad asking somebody who's coming to pick up his daughter for on a date. What are your intentions? What are your intentions with this DUPR? Right? What do you want to get out of it? Is it because you want to get to open plays? Is it because you want to level up? Is it just because you want your understanding of your skill assessment? And I think everyone should approach it in that way. So I really appreciate how Tito shared that message.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like what you said there, Nikki. I think that ratings in general are hard because, yes, we are creatures that care about external things, right? And what people think about us and what you think about yourself. But I just want to make sure that this message is loud and clear. Your DUPR does not define you. And it also just means that you have space for improvement, right? If you're a 3.23, instead of reaching out to Tito and telling him to make you a 3.5 so you can be an open play, how about you go work with your coach at the club? Why don't you watch my instructional videos online? Why don't you work on things that can truly make you better? Because I think it's more important to remember why we do this. To your exact point there, Nikki, just what's your intention? Why do we do this? And move on from there. I wouldn't let that number define you and pull you up or down. Your DUPR should not be affecting your mood.
Agreed. And having said that, Tito, I hope you're listening to this podcast episode because you care about what you said. Tito, go ahead and lift me up to a 4. Let's go with a 4.3. You know, I'm not gonna be drilling. You're not gonna see me drilling. I think I deserve a good 4.3.
Stop
Nothing
being
crazy.
toxic,
4.4.
Nikki.
That's it. I'm not asking for too much here. 4.3, 4.4 is such a tiny number. Help me out here. No,
it is. No, hey, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there because you're gonna earn it.
Yeah. Mari's gonna help me by reviewing my videos. That's what she's gonna do.
Absolutely.
All right, good stuff. We can always talk about DUPR, and we will continue talking about DUPR. Well, Mari, you know, this is a crazy time. This is actually our final episode. Can you believe that? Of this season. Season 1, a whole freaking season under our belts, and we wrapped it up with Tito Machado. Yeah.
I want to give you a shout out for surviving all this time with me. That's impressive work. I mean, that's a lot of patience.
What's my podcast DUPR?
It's higher than mine. That's for sure. Okay. Yeah. We should send that over to Tito.
Yeah.
No, this has been an absolute delight to spend this time with you and get to meet our guests. We've had some amazing episodes this season. And I think we just need a little time to regroup and make sure that we are going in the direction that we want to go. As always, to our audience, thank you for listening. And tell us what you want, right? This is your time. We are regrouping for season 2. And we want to know what you want to listen to. Any guests that you want? Are you tired of guests? You just want to listen to me and Nikki? Are you tired of me? Do you want just Nikki?
Are you tired of Mari's voice? Do you want her to play hard and work hard so that way she's got the raspy voice again? That was maybe our best episode. No, I also got to commend you, Mari, because I got to say a lot of pro pickleballers are actually not great on the microphone. They're not great behind camera. Like they're not, or in front of camera. They don't necessarily have that personality. And I think this season 1, if nothing else, if not your instructional videos and social media and your polls that you've been launching on Instagram, if nothing else, this podcast has proven and solidified you as a pickleball media personality. So props to you for that. I've had an incredible. I think your podcast DUPR is pretty high. We'll put it there. This was an amazing season. Stick around. We're going to take a few weeks off. We're going to regroup, and we will be back in a few short weeks for season 2. So stay tuned.
99% pickleballers. See you soon.